Hi, I'm Kumar. In this unit, I will discuss what is Selenium Grid and its working architecture. Well, before getting into the details, first, what is a grid? Selenium Grid is not a software, it is not a framework, and very importantly, it is not a automation testing tool. Selenium Grid is just a server, and this is part of the Selenium package. So when I say Selenium package, it contains the different components. So those components are Selenium IDE, Selenium Remote Control, Selenium WebDriver, and Selenium Standalone Server. So this Selenium Standalone Server will behaves like a Selenium Grid server when the user configures proper hub and the node combinations. So basically Selenium Grid is again a part of the Selenium standalone server. So you won't find a separate component with a name called Selenium Grid in the Selenium package. Whatever the Selenium standalone server is provided, so that server we will use it as a Selenium Grid with the help of the different hub and the node combinations. Alright, so basically what is the advantage of Selenium Grid? Why we need to implement a Selenium Grid in the project? The requirement is very simple. If you have bunch of Selenium scripts or a huge number of scripts which you need to execute and you have less amount of time to do that, then you need to do the parallel execution. So in order to do the parallel execution on multiple operating systems across multiple browsers, including multiple mobile devices, then the only one option we have from the open source world is Selenium Grid. Well, now let us look into the working architecture. So how Selenium Grid will be implemented for the distributed testing or for doing the parallel executions on multiple environments. Like as I discussed, the requirement is very simple. We have bunch of Selenium scripts and we need to execute them in parallel across multiple computers or multiple operating systems against multiple browsers, including the mobile devices. Let us take this as a best example to understand how the grid works in the real-time scenarios. First, I have a computer whose operating system may be a Mac. That means it may be a Mac computer, or it may be a Windows computer, or it may be a Linux computer. Then I have all my bunch of Selenium scripts on this system. Those scripts may be written in the Python, or it may be written in the Ruby, or may be written in the PHP, or it may be written in Java, or it may be written in C#, right? So now the requirement is I just need to execute my Selenium scripts across multiple devices. Well, the basic criteria when you're working with Selenium Grid is proper configuration and a proper combination of hub and the nodes. Now, what is a hub? A hub is a port on which your Selenium Grid server will be up and running. And in the Selenium Grid session, there will be only one hub, and whatever the nodes you are going to create, so those nodes must and should get registered to this hub. You need to create the hub in the machine where your Selenium scripts are located. So ideally the Selenium scripts will be located only on one machine, and that machine we call it as a hub machine because we will start the Selenium Grid server on that machine where your Selenium scripts are stored. Entire framework and all the scripts are stored on that machine. Further, you wanted to execute your scripts on different browsers on multiple operating systems. Then you need to choose multiple computers, and each computer is configured in such a way that they have different browsers. Now you need to create the nodes in the respective computers with the proper desired capabilities or with the proper configuration. Now let us take the different systems. I will choose one system and I will notate it as N1, and this computer has a OS Windows. Then I will take another computer and I will notate it as N2 with an operating system OS X. So that is, it is a Mac computer. and then I will choose another system whose operating system is Linux. Now I have three different types of computers with the three different types of operating systems inside. Now I would like to connect all these computers to the same network. Whenever you are working with a grid, it is all depends upon the way how the servers are communicating among each other, and the hub server should reach to the node and the node should reach to the hub. That means the communication should be bilateral, or it should be the two-way communication. So when these things will be possible means when all the computers are connected to the same network configurations. Now I will connect all these computers to the same internet connection. The moment once I connect to the internet, all the computers will be having a IP address configured. Now if you look at the screen, let us assume that these are the IP address which are configured for these computers. Now, as discussed, on this machine I have my Selenium scripts. That means I need to create a hub on this computer. So I need to start my hub. I need to start the Selenium grid server. So in order to start or in order to configure the hub, you will be using a couple of commands. And similarly, in order to configure the nodes and in order to register the nodes to the hub, then you need to use a couple of commands. I'm not going to discuss anything about commands or code here because this is a high level pictographical representation of Selenium grid and its working architecture. So I will create a hub on the hub computer. So my hub is started here and it is running. As I said, hub will be running on a specific port and the port number is 4444, and hub is nothing but it's like a Selenium grid server, and you can see the server status by going it to the URL or by going to that IP address colon 4444 port number. So by default, Selenium grid server will run on the port number 4444. So you can just go ahead and look at this IP address on your web browser and you can see status of the hub. Well, so now I need to create the nodes on these three computers. So I will create the first node with a desired capabilities or with a proper configurations for these four browsers. The moment you create the node, that node will be registered with the hub. So you need to make sure whatever the nodes you are creating, so those nodes should be registered to the hub. And you can see the node configuration and the node status on the same web browser. And each and every node will be executing on a specific unique port number. So here I took an example as 4455. Let us assume that this node is running on 4455 port and this is the IP address of this node 1 system. Similarly, I created another node N2 with the different browser configurations, and this node is also registered to the hub, and the port number on which it is running is 8899. Similarly, N3 as a node with the proper browser configurations and it is registered with the hub. So this is how a basic setup or a basic configuration is required when you are implementing the Selenium grid. So till now we just created a hub now which is up and running, and then we created three different nodes on three different computers which are working on three different operating systems with multiple versions of browser. Now all these three nodes are registered with the hub and you can see the status at this IP address colon 4444 as a port number. The moment when I start executing my Selenium scripts, so what will happen means this hub or the Selenium grid server will understand the WebDriver code, and according to the desired capabilities, according to the node configurations, hub will redirect those WebDriver commands to the respective nodes onto the respective computers. For example, if your script says open the Safari browser, then hub will understand that it should send to the node N2 because N2 is configured with the Safari browser and it is on the Mac system. So these kind of capabilities you need to mention in your Selenium script through desired capabilities feature. And hub will understand all the WebDriver commands with the help of the JSON wire protocol. And the respective commands, according to the desired capabilities, it will direct to the different types of the nodes respectively. And further, the browser will be opened and your execution will start against the application under test. Overall, this is how the Selenium grid will work in the real-time scenarios. And this is how you can achieve the parallel execution of the Selenium scripts on multiple operating systems across multiple browsers at a time. Now, so far we discussed only on the desktops, right? So these are all the desktops or the PCs. Now, what about the mobile device? Can I integrate my mobile devices to the same kind of configuration? Yes, absolutely you can do that. So in order to implement the mobile execution here, then you need to rely on Appium. Alright, so I would like to execute the Selenium scripts, or I would like to execute my mobile scripts on the different mobile devices. So I have two mobile devices, one is iOS and the other is Android. Now I would like to execute mobile scripts on these two devices in parallel. So what I need to do is I need to take another system, and the system is a Mac computer. The reason why I choose a Mac system here, because I'm automating the iOS device. In order to automate an iOS device, you must and should connect the device to the Mac computer. So it won't work with a Windows computer or a Linux computer. But whereas if you look at the Android, so you can connect the Android to a Windows or a Mac. So that's why I choose the Mac system for the mobile automation. Then similarly, I will connect this Mac computer to the same network. The moment I connect to the network, it got its IP address. And then I will create two Appium nodes. So the Appium node is N4 and the other Appium node is N5. And you see the port number which I have configured to run these two nodes is 1111 and 9999. And once these two nodes are created, then they need to get registered with the hub, just like the other three nodes. Now, the moment when I start executing Appium scripts, the mobile scripts will be executed across the two devices in parallel. Either it may be a web app, or it may be a native, or it may be a hybrid app. This is how you can implement a Selenium grid in the real-time projects, where you can leverage on desktop automation at the same time mobile automation. So that's all for this unit. Happy scripting. Thank you.